In today's video, we're going to be talking about a week of sales from June 2nd to June 8th. And the special thing about this particular week of sales is that I was working my butt off. And that's because the following week, I was leaving for vacation with my family to Hawaii and Japan. And I wanted to, one, just get a lot of listings up right before, but then also just schedule listings, especially on eBay, to go live while we were gone so that I wouldn't really lose any momentum. Spoiler alert, I did. I did lose the momentum, but I think all of the extra work that I did in the week leading up to my vacation, including several days where I was trying to list like 10 items or more per day, they really paid off because this was a pretty good sales week. So let's get into it. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I'm a part-time reseller, and like I said, in today's video, we're going to be talking about everything that sold for me over the span of a week. And in this particular week, I sold items across 4 different platforms. And another spoiler alert, we are already back from our trip. It's come and gone, and it was wonderful. The frustrating thing, and if I seem a little out of it while filming this video, this will make sense. The frustrating thing is, ever since we were in Tokyo, I have had this bout of vertigo that has just been messing me up. Like, I don't know. It's just that constant, like, slight twinge of nausea in the back of my throat, and my head just feels like it weighs 800 pounds. And I just thought there's nothing wiser than asking complete strangers on the internet for medical advice. So let me know. Like, I've tried all the things. I think it's one of those like inner ear things I do. I don't remember what it's called, but I do that thing where I like lay on my bed like this, and then I go like this, and I get all dizzy. I don't know. I've tried lots of different things, and it just feels really stinky. But we're gonna talk about this really great sales week. And if you're excited to talk about some great sales, especially happening in the middle of summer, like what? Go ahead and hit that like button. But we're gonna start off by talking about June 2nd, which was a Monday. And on June 2nd on eBay, I sold this Zenergy by Chico's green laser cut full zip jacket in a women's size small. It did have pockets. It is one of my oldest listings. Like, I have had this thing for so long. I believe I was running a sale at this point, and this item sold as part of the sale for $8. It was also promoted at 3%. I got this at a local consignment store during COVID when we were in shelter in place as part of like a big bulk sale. I worked out a special deal with them since they couldn't open their doors, since I couldn't go shopping like normal to find inventory. We came up with a mutually beneficial deal that would help out both parties, and I had like 80 cents into each item as a result. So my net profit on this was $6.88, and that's how I knew that we were just gonna have an amazing week of sales. The next item to sell that day was on Poshmark, and it was this J. Crew blue gingham slim fit button-up shirt in a men's size extra small. I had words like classic in the listing title, and that was made of 100% cotton. This item, I don't know where it came from. I actually think maybe my brother gave it to me, but I'm just saying I had $3 into it. If I don't know where an item comes from, $3 is kind of my average cost of goods. I probably didn't even have that much into it, but if we're saying that we did, once you account for cost of goods, once we account for Poshmark's fees, my net profit on that item was $13. I do think that that's something that I've had listed for years, but this was the week of moving out a good combination of old listings as well as listings that had just been listed. So exciting either way. Also on the 2nd on Poshmark, I sold this Lisa Todd gray short sleeve cotton and cashmere blend novelty sweater in a women's size small. It was a sweater, but it was short sleeve. You could definitely wear this in the summer too if you wanted. This item sold for $25, and it actually sold in a previous week, but I forgot to mention it, so I'm just including it in this video. But I had $7.40 into this. I got this at a 70% off clearance sale at one of my favorite local consignment stores back in December. So, it's been a decent amount of time that this has been listed, and my net profit on that was $12.60. And if my memory is correct, I think that there were some like stains, some spots on this item, if I remember correctly. So that definitely was a reason as to why it didn't sell for maybe as much as it could have, because I do think Lisa Todd is a pretty decent brand. I think you can get some good money for it, but I accepted the $25 offer because of the fact that there were some flaws. I had a few other eBay sales this day, including this pair of REI Co-op gray Vapor Rush Gore Windstopper pants in a women's size large. These are like hiking outdoor pants. These I got at a Goodwill about, and hour and a half from where I live, my students were rehearsing for an all-state music festival, and so I went to Goodwill's and other local thrift stores and shopped to my heart's content. I picked these up in January of 2025, and they sold for $33.99. They were promoted as well, and typically I promote everything at 3%. If you're going to promote something though, eBay usually defaults to something. Like they try to tell you, hey, if you're going to promote this item, you should promote it at blank percent. And usually for clothing, it's at like 12% or something like that, which to me is too much. Like if I'm going to pay 12% to promote an item, plus I have my regular eBay fees, at that point, if that item were to sell through promoted listings, I'm paying eBay more in fees than I would even pay Poshmark. So I am not a fan of paying that much, but I think with this pair of pants, I must have just been moving so quickly as I was listing, because what I'll do is I'll list items to list perfectly, and then I'll push them out from list perfectly to all the different platforms that I want to list them on. And in the process, as I'm doing like a Depop listing of these pants, and then I list them on eBay, and then I list them on Mercari, and then I list them on Poshmark, sometimes I'm just moving so fast. I've usually got like a TV show on in the background. It's absolutely possible that I accidentally kept the percentage that they suggested for promoted listings, which probably was around like 10 to 15%. So I just remember like when I was doing my numbers, I was like, oh my gosh, like they took so much in promoted fees, almost the same amount that it was for eBay fees. So regardless, I had $9.99 into them. And even though they sold for $33.99, my net profit was only $13.42. They did take 1 week to sell, which is great. And I did actually have a 15% off sale running at this time. Again, I think I was just trying to move pieces out before my trip and just like get some good momentum going. And so with all of that happening, with the sale, with, accidentally promoting this at a much higher percentage than I typically do, I didn't have that much of a profit. But one thing I have been noticing is, it was happening this week, but also in the past week or so, I have been noticing a lot of these more outdoorsy, hiking, camping type of pants, things that are made of like nylon, things that are a little bit more water or wind resistant. They've been selling really well. So brands like REI, I sold 2 pairs of Prana pants, I think like back to back. So if you have these kind of outdoorsy type of things, definitely list them because I think people are looking for them. Also on the second, going back to some eBay sales, I sold this Lafayette 148 New York pink 100% silk tank shell. It was like a blouse in a women's plus size 20. So this I did get at the estate sale that I've been talking about so much in my past videos. And that's because I went to an estate sale in my neighborhood of a plus size woman who had exquisite taste, exquisite like log and look taste. She was super into Eileen Fisher and Gudrun Shedin. There were a handful of Lafayette 148 pieces. So I had $5 into this because this was from the first day of the estate sale when I went. It sold in 2 weeks for $49.90. That was an offer that I sent to watchers. Someone accepted, and my net profit on that was $36.54. It really doesn't look like much. It probably weighed like 3 to 4 ounces. But it was silk, it's Lafayette 148, it's plus size. So many amazing contributing reasons as to why this did as well as it did. So that was very exciting. Also on the second on eBay, I sold this pair of Zara tan rope wraparound tie espadrille sandals in a women's size 39. That's like a US 8.5. I did use the keyword boho in the listing title. Those sold for $25.49. They were part of that 15% off sale, and they were promoted at the normal 3% that I want to promote my eBay listings at, not whatever that other piece sold for. But I got these last September at a local consignment store during their 75% off sale. So I had $4 into these, and my net profit was $14.99. Not, the $20 that I'm looking to make per transaction, but like not bad either. Those, yeah, I was happy with that. Moving on to the 3rd of June, which was a Tuesday, I had one Whatnot sale this week. This was an item that I had in my marketplace. And just so you know, I am starting to slowly get back on Whatnot. I just did my first show of like, I don't know, it had been like a year since I'd been live on Whatnot, but I had a show a few days ago and it was great. It was some plus size pieces from the estate sale. I have a couple more shows lined up. I will link them down in the description below, or just like my link in case you want to check me out on Whatnot. I'd love to have you there, and it's really fun hanging out with everybody. But this was something that was in my marketplace and it sold for $5. It was this Urban Outfitters Larkin Wolf blue and white gingham button-up shirt in a women's size extra small. I think this was mine. This was something that I had purchased at Urban. I had worn it for a while, and then I was like, oh, it's been like 5 years since I've touched this. I should probably just list it. And so I did, and I listed it in October of 2021. And then almost 4 years later, someone was like, you know what? I think I want this. And I made $3.97 just to close to 4 years. So there you go. That's how you know that you don't dress very well, because your stuff takes that long to sell. Also, I just only buy super cheap things because I don't like to spend a lot of money on clothes. But also on the 3rd on Mercari, and I think this was my one Mercari sale of the week as well, I sold this Eileen Fisher blue sleeveless dress in a women's plus size 2X. It was made of organic cotton and hemp. That was from the estate sale, and I did get that on the first day of the sale as well. So I had $5 into it. It took 2 weeks to sell. That was a pretty quick flip, and my net profit was $28.58. So, you know, we just keep winning when it comes to this estate sale. Like, there's just good stuff there. Also on the 3rd on Poshmark, I had a good number of sales. The first one being this White House Black Market pink floral off-the-shoulder blouse in a women's size medium. This item sold for $35, and I was honestly kind of shocked because I tend to sit on White House Black Market pieces for a minimum of like 1 to 2 years. It's pretty expensive at the store. I mean, I can't say I particularly love their pieces. Like, it's not my aesthetic, but I mean, they're nice, you know? So I was shocked when this only took 1 month to sell. I had $3.13 into it from a local consignment store. I did like a special bag sale with them at the end of last year, and that was my average cost of goods for everything that I got that day. So my net profit on that was $24.87. I do think, though, that that was just a fluke because I got a handful of White House Black Market pieces that day. I think that's like one of the only ones that have sold. So whatever it was about that particular piece, I also think that that sold full price, which is crazy. So I don't know. That's not the norm. That's not my way of saying go out and pick up all the White House Black Market that you can find. Let me know down in the comments if you find that to be the case with White House Black Market in your reselling business, or if you have better luck with it. I don't know. I can't really super figure out how to sell it. The next thing to sell on Poshmark, I was really excited about the sale, mainly because I purely picked this piece up based on style and just like what it was. It's not like it had like a good brand name or anything like that, but it was this vintage redwoods embroidered sweatshirt. It was kind of oversized. It was just printed on a Gildan sweatshirt, and it was in a women's plus size 2X. That came from the estate sale as well. I got it on the first day, so I paid $5 for it. And I got this amidst the sea of Eileen Fisher and J. Jill and Gudrun Shedden because I don't know. I'm really into national parks. I feel like a lot of other people are as well. And I just like the look of this sweatshirt. It had something very classic and kind of like preppy to it. So I was like, I'll spend $5 on it. It sold in 1 week and I made a net profit of $24.60. And that was like in the middle of summer, right? So I don't know. I was very pleased with myself when it came to that sale. And that's my way of telling you, trust your gut, trust your instinct. Chances are you know what you're doing. So if you see an item and you're like, I don't know, the brand isn't really anything special, or, you know, this or that. If it's really speaking to you, it may be worth a shot. Also on the 3rd, I had a viewer bundle sale, and this was really amazing. And not only did this viewer come in and make the sale, but she also saved me from making a double sale on eBay, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But the viewer was Megan. So Megan, thank you so much for your purchase. But the first item in her 4-piece bundle was this pair of Dansko Lila blue leather lace-up shoes in a women's European size 42. They were water resistant. I did put the word academia in the listing title because basically all Oxfords are. And in case you missed it, I did make a video not too long ago with 10 of my most popular, like, best-selling fashion aesthetics, and both dark academia and light academia are included in that video. So when I say things like academia, if you're like, what is it? What are you talking about? Like, that video might be a good one to visit. I will link it down in the description below. And I just put academia here instead of light academia. If I had to choose between dark and light, I would have definitely gone with light. I just didn't have enough characters in the listing title. But that I got at a local consignment store at the end of October of 2024. Again, they were having a 75% off clearance sale. I had $8.25 into those, and it took me forever to get around to listing them. So when I did finally list them at the end of May, they only took 4 days to sell to Megan. So Megan snatched them up, and I'm saying that she paid $34.31 for those. That's because I'm going off of the price if I were to take the discount that was offered for the bundle and apply the discount equally to all 4 pieces. I hope that made sense. But that means that my net profit on those shoes was $19.20, which is awesome. The next piece in this bundle was this new with tags Patagonia R1 Air Zip Neck Lagom Blue quarter zip pullover in a men's size 2XL. That I got at a local like sports store, if you will. They were having a 50% off clearance sale. So I got that piece for $39.48. She bought it for $75.49. So my profit was only $20.91, which means I didn't even double my profit on that item, but that's okay. I've had this now for quite some time. Let's see, I got all those pieces. I can't even remember when. That's where I got all of those snowboarding pants from the brand Half Days, but I also got like a bunch of Patagonia pieces. The Patagonia pieces not moving at all. Like nobody cares about them. So if you've been wondering like, are the Patagonia fleeces still worth paying up for? No, not in my opinion, not in my experience. Yeah, I got a good amount of them and they have just been sitting, unfortunately. So thankfully, Megan went ahead and took this particular piece off my hands. But I do think I'm going to have to start just like lowering the prices on them and at least recouping my investment and making a little bit of money. Again, I'm not even going to double the amount that I spent on purchasing the items in the first place, but that's all right. So Megan had commented maybe like a week or two before. She commented, I think in my Poshmark closet, and she was like, I just watched your estate sale haul and I'm so interested in so many of the pieces. And she knew that I was like listing at the time too. And so she let me know that she'd be coming in and making a bundle sale at some point. And I was really excited. And it was just very wonderful having her come in and get these items. The next one was by the brand Séjour. Don't know if I'm saying that right. It's one of those Nordstrom house brands. Like you can pick up their pieces at places like Nordstrom Rack and stuff. But this was a really cute teal printed short sleeve high-low rayon shirt in a women's plus size 3X, and it had kind of boho vibes to it. That one I'm saying I sold to her for $13.73. I had 39 cents into that item because it was from the estate sale, but it was from when the estate sale was over, and I had asked the people running the estate sale during the half off day if they would be willing to sell me all of the clothing and shoes that didn't sell during the sale, if they could just sell it to me instead of, donating it to like a local thrift store or something. And they said yes. So I got all of the remaining clothes, which came out to like over 300 pieces for $150, which came out to like 39 cents a piece. And my net profit on that particular piece was $10.59. And that item took 1 day to sell. Like I literally listed it and the next day she came in and made this amazing bundle. So that was really exciting. And she left a message for this piece. And she was like, hey, I think this is the item that I just bought from you on Poshmark. And I think this was like a few days later. And she was like, I just wanted to let you know in case you need to delete it. Maybe you have like an identical second one, but in case you don't, this is just my way of telling you it's listed on other platforms still. And I was like, like, I don't know what happened. I don't know why it didn't get deleted. So I went ahead and deleted it. I thanked her. So Megan is not just a wonderful shopper and viewer and all of those things. She's also, a guardian angel that watches over my eBay store apparently and makes sure that I'm not going to accidentally sell things 2 times. So Megan, thank you, not just for the purchase, but for that as well, because I know that must have taken extra time out of your day. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And the last piece that she got from me, this was a great one. It was this new with tags Lauren Ralph Lauren houndstooth mock neck sweater in a women's plus size 2X. I did put the word classic in the title. That one she bought from me for $51.47. I got that on the first day of the estate sale, so I had $5 into it, and my net profit was $36.18. And that one took about 2 weeks to sell. So that was an amazing bundle that went to Megan. Megan, thank you so much. I hope you love everything, that everything fits exactly the way that you hope that it would. You had some great pieces. Moving on to eBay sales that took place on the 3rd. The first thing to sell was this pair of Kuru chicane. I don't know. I'm just like making things up at this point. But it was this pair of walking trail shoes in the color Moab Brown. They were made of leather. I put the word pain relief in the listing title because I think that that is a claim that this brand has in regards to their walking shoes. So there you go. And they were in a women's size 9. These sold on eBay for $33.99. Again, I had my 15% off sale running, and they took 2.5 months to sell. I got them again from that same Goodwill about an hour and a half away when I thrifted while my students were rehearsing. I had $6.79 into those, and my net profit was $23.84. And I don't pick up a lot of Kuru, but coincidentally, this pair sold this week. I think I had another pair that sold in the next week or two. So again, hiking type of gear or clothing, like that stuff is selling really well right now. The next day of sales that we'll talk about is June 4th, which was a Wednesday. And on eBay, I sold this pair of BDG, which is Urban Outfitters' house brand. It was this pair of high-rise distressed jean shorts in a women's size 25. Those had some stretch to them. They were high-waisted. And those I got from a Plato's Closet, I don't know when, a long time ago. And they sold for $6.79 with my 15% off discount. I had $3.27 into those, and my net profit was a whopping $1.29. Listen, like, I don't know. I always have this weird sense of urgency in like February and March to find a bunch of shorts and list them because that's what's going to sell and make me a lot of money in the summer. I rarely make good money on shorts. Let me know down in the comments if you're selling shorts for over $30, $40. And I know a lot of it is brand specific. Like I know BDG from Urban Outfitters is never going to net me like $40, $50. But no matter what the brand, I just feel like I have a hard time selling denim shorts for good money. So it's really not something that I stress out about anymore as far as like going out of my way to source them because like they'll sell, but they never sell for very much. So that's a me thing. Let me know if it's a you thing as well. But $1.29 got me some French fries with that sale. The next sale on that particular day from eBay was this Eileen Fisher pair of gray striped linen organic cotton pull-on pants in a women's plus size 3X. Those obviously came from the estate sale. I got those on the half off day for $2.50 and they sold for $42.49 because I had my 15% off sale running. They were listed for 3 days and they sold like that. And my net profit was $31.54. And then moving on to June 5th, which was a Thursday, again on eBay, and again from the estate sale, I sold this pair of Eileen Fisher purple washable crepe pull-on comfort pants in a women's plus size 2X. So the wonderful thing about this estate sale is that the woman who I bought all this clothes from, she clearly was a creature of comfort. She had specific styles of pants and shirts that she really liked from brands like Eileen Fisher, and she would just buy them over and over again in different colors, sometimes different sizes, like she'd fluctuate between a 2X and a 3X. And so once I figured out what the style of one pair of pants was, chances are there were going to be more pants that were of that same style. So this like washable crepe pull-on pant, she had a pair that was brand new with tags. And so what I did was I looked at the material content of that pair of pants and I wrote it down in my notes. It was actually, let me see, I'm just going to look it up for you.
3 days later.
It's 70% viscose, 24% nylon, and 6% spandex. And that again is the Eileen Fisher washable stretch crepe pants. So now whenever I go to photograph a pair of those pants, like I know what they feel like, you know what I mean? I've just like dealt with them so much over the past few weeks. As soon as I touch them, I check the material content just to make sure. And if it matches the feel and the materials, then I am able to list it as that washable stretch crepe pants. And I think that that helps me sell them because if there is anyone else out there in the world that is similar to her, who is a creature of comfort and habit and wants to keep returning to their tried and tested favorite pair of pants, I have listed them as such with the style name in the listing title and they're able to find them a lot easier. So I think that's part of what helps sell these because this took 4 days to sell. And again, it sold as part of my 15% 50% off sale, but they sold for $42.49. I had $2.50 into them, and my net profit was $33.76. Slightly higher than the last pair, even though they were the same price, mainly probably because of shipping, like probably because I had to pay a little bit less for shipping. And that was it for that particular day of sales. But moving on to the 6th of June, which was a Friday, on Poshmark, I sold a bundle. And I don't know if this went to a viewer or not, but in case this was a viewer, thank you, Mel. But the first item that this person got was this new with tags Carhartt Rugged Flex Duck Detroit jacket in a relaxed fit. It was in a men's size 2XL. It was blue. That was another item that I got from that outdoor sporting goods store. And I had $42.49 into this. So again, I had some really big wins with those half days snowboarding pants. Those went like that. They went for so much. Carhartt, I got a handful of Carhartt jackets. They did not do very well. And the Patagonia pieces did not do that well. So I had $42.49 into this. I made a net profit of $25.31. So I still made a profit, but you know, a lot of times when you're going to pay up for things and you're going to do retail arbitrage, your goal is to at least double your initial investment. That did not happen here, but I'm okay with that. And obviously, like with this being a 3-piece bundle, I offered a pretty heavy discount, and that's part of the reason why this sold for as little as it did. But the next item that Mel got was this Warner's beige polka dot underwire bra in a women's size 38C. This item sold for $8.14. I didn't have any money into that. That's something that a friend of mine gave to me during, I don't know, it was like a little after COVID. It was when people were still being pretty careful, like things were slowly opening up. My friend during COVID just lost a ton of weight. Like I think she went keto, and she lost so much weight. And we did a whatnot show together, selling off all of the clothes that she was no longer wearing to help her raise money for basically a new wardrobe. And I think we made her like a couple $100 or something. That was kind of fun. And then afterwards, everything that didn't sell, she's like, you can just have it to list if you want. This was one of those items. And so my net profit was $6.51, but it took like 3 years to sell. So there you go. And then the last item that sold to Mel was this pair of Zara high-waist jacquard striped wide leg pants in a women's size large. These pants did have an elastic waist. I got this at a local consignment store's birthday sale. This is the same consignment store that let me shop in their storage unit during COVID. I just love this place. I have such a good relationship with the owners. And every year they do a birthday sale, which is a great like fill a bag sale. I try to make it a point to go every single year. And this particular year, it was at the end of May. I had $3.89 into each item, and this took 1 week to sell after listing it. So that was really exciting. And oh my gosh, I said that the buyer's name was Mel. It was not Mel. The buyer's name, I'm probably going to say this wrong, Lely or Lily or Leli or Leli. Oh my God, I hope one of those ways is correct. Lely. That is who bought this bundle. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I kept calling you Mel all throughout, but this went to Lely. And this item netted me $17.80. So I think it's Lely. I don't know, but I hope you loved everything. Thank you so much. The next item to sell was over on eBay, and it was this J. Jill purple ditzy floral high-low tunic in a women's size large petite. I did put the word login look in there because it did have kind of that like oversized, you know, just login look to it. I had $3 into this from a local consignment store during their $3 tag sale in August. I got this in August. It sold for $14.90. It was an offer that I sent out to watchers, and it took me about a half of a year to sell. I made a net profit of $10.06. This is why I don't typically pick up pretty basic tops, just because you're usually not going to get very much for them. So there's that. Also on the 6th on Poshmark, I sold this Tommy Bahama tan suede leather blazer jacket in a women's size large. I put words like boho and classic in the listing title. That sold for $30 on Poshmark, and I had $7.99 into it from a Goodwill, you know, about an hour and a half away when my students were rehearsing. But that only took 4 days to sell, because even though I purchased it in January of this year. It took me forever to get around to listing it. And once I listed it, it only took 4 days to sell. And that's even with some like pen marks on it. I don't know what happened. Someone dropped a pen while they were wearing it or just literally were writing on themselves. I don't know. It wasn't like that much, but enough that obviously it's a flaw. So I took pictures of the flaw. I noted it in the description and my net profit was $16.01. So just another friendly reminder to you too. Don't be afraid of selling flawed items. You can still make good money on them. I did not, however, know that that was flawed at the time of purchase. So just also wanted to put that out there. And then on the 7th of June, which was a Saturday, on eBay, I sold this vintage Morro Bay blue Hawaiian short sleeve shirt in a men's size, extra large tall. And I put the word tropical on the listing title. That sold for $8. And at that point, I had a 60% off sale running on probably more than 500 items. Like I hand selected just super sale listings. This is something that I've just started to do like on the weekends in an effort to move stuff out because I'm so sick of looking at some of these pieces that I've had for a really, really long time. And the truth is I'll probably run some kind of sale this week too for the 4th of July because I feel like all of the stores are doing it and people just want a deal right now. So I'll probably run some kind of sale, probably not 60% off my entire, eBay store or anything like that, but I'll probably do like 10 or 20% off of everything. Maybe at some point I'll do 60 or 65% off of my super stale listings. It just feels good to get those pieces out of the house. You know what I mean? So I had $2 into that from a reseller buyout that I did a long time ago. Like I'm talking during COVID, and my net profit on that shirt was $4.61. So we can get ourselves a large McDonald's fries with that money. Also on the 7th on eBay, I sold this Pendleton gray lamb's wool Fair Isle V-neck sweater vest in a men's size large. I did put the word grandpa in the listing title because this is very grandpa core. And that I got at the estate sale during their half off sale. So I had $2.50 into it. My net profit was $40.02 because that sold for $49.99, which was my full asking price. And it sold in 8 days. I remember like even at the estate sale being a little bit on the fence. I was like, I don't know, like Pendleton vests, like can they still do well? I know like their sweaters, especially if they have like fun, kooky, wild prints, they can do really well. And I was like, this sweater, and it sold so fast. I don't know why I doubt myself. Like I just gotta trust the gut. And then on eBay, I sold a 3-piece bundle. And I don't really sell bundles on eBay, but what happened was this person reached out and was like, hey, I would like to purchase 3 of your Eileen Fisher pieces from you. Can you offer me any sort of deal or like shipping discount? And the way that bundles work on eBay, it's not very intuitive. They don't really like go out of their way to make bundling an easy process for buyers or sellers. So what I told her was, I said, just buy the 3 items and shipping will look astronomical because you're going to pay for shipping on each item. But when I go to ship those items, on my end, I have the ability to combine shipping for all things going to the same place. And so when I do that, because you're able to put everything in one package instead of 3 separate packages, you're able to save a lot on shipping. And I told her I will give you a partial refund for shipping in the amount that I saved. And then she was like, well, is there any way like we could do this much per Eileen Fisher piece on top of that? And we kind of negotiated a little bit, and I think we agreed on $33 per dress. That being said, because I had just sent her offers on 2 of them, she had to actually buy them for my offer price, which I think was like $37.90, but then I just refunded her more on top of the shipping that I saved so that it came out to her paying $33 a dress. So I know that all sounds very complicated, but the first item that she got was this Eileen Fisher mauve sleeveless lantern dress in a women's plus size 2X. That one sold for $39.90. So I said $37.90 earlier. I meant $39.90. So she just had to accept that sales price. But then I just made this other dress a lot cheaper, and you'll see how that worked out. But I also refunded some of the shipping, and that's all reflected in the last sale of this 3-piece bundle, which you'll see. But I had $5 into that one, so I'm saying that my net profit on that dress was $31.17, and that one took 3 weeks to sell. The next item that she got was this Eileen Fisher ballet neck tank dress in an olive green color that was also in a size 2X. I had $5 into that one as well, and that one I'm saying sold for $39.90 as well because that was the offer that I had sent. So she accepted that. That one took about a month to sell. So the final dress in this bundle, it was this Eileen Fisher teal sleeveless log and look casual lounge dress, and that was in a 2X as well. I had $5 into that too because that was from the first day of the estate sale. And I'm saying that this one sold for $18.96. So this is the dress. The price reflects the shipping discounts that I gave her. It reflects the fact that I gave her more discount on the other two dresses so that they came out to $33 instead of basically $40. Yeah, so that's why this one seems like it was so cheap. And we're saying that my net profit on this particular dress was $12.91. But this went out to Sharon. I don't know if Sharon is a viewer or not. I do know that she's a repeat buyer of mine. I don't know if you knew that. You can actually see on eBay when someone buys from you if they're a repeat buyer, which is always wonderful to know that your service was good enough the first time that people want to shop from you again. But Sharon, if you are a viewer, thank you so much for your purchase, and I hope you love all 3 dresses. So the next sale, you guys, I basically threw a party in my house when this sold because I had this for so long and was like so mad at myself for getting it. But I sold on eBay this new with tags, nutcracker, festive ties, Christmas tie, and I put words like holiday, festive, ugly Christmas tie. Like this thing I got at the bins in Indianapolis, probably pre-COVID. I have probably had this like 5 years, and I'm saying I had about 50 cents into it. I don't even know how much that sold for. Let's see. Let's look it up.
3 hours later.
Okay. This sold for $3.20 because I had that 60% off sale running. And I'm saying I had like 50 cents into it. I made a net profit of $1.28. So I'm going to call it a win. A win 5 years in the making. And, you know, I'm able to buy an Arizona iced tea with that. I'm able to buy like a small pack of Trident gum. Don't pick up this kind of crap at the bins. Don't do it, Becky. Sorry, my husband just asked me if I wanted a 3-pound tub of cottage cheese from Costco, and I am the only one in this house that eats cottage cheese. So I said, no, I cannot eat that by myself. Okay. Also on the 7th on eBay, because of my wonderful 60% off sale, I finally got rid of this new with tags Lane Bryant sleeveless ruffle open back dress in a women's plus size 28. This I had $2 into from a ThredUp women's bulk rescue box that I did during COVID, pre-COVID. Listen, it's been a minute. I've had this for a long time. It sold for $7. It was promoted at 3%. My net profit was $4.56. So we're going to get ourselves some breakfast burritos from McDonald's because hallelujah. And then on the 8th, which is the final day of sales that we will talk about, that was a Sunday on Poshmark. I actually sold this H&M Divided, which is like one of their, I don't know, like there's Divided, anyway. It was this black wool blend toggle buttons hooded jacket in a women's size 2. That sold on Poshmark for $28, which I was shocked by. I think I had it listed for $35 and Posher VA sent out offers for $28. Someone accepted. And my net profit was $22.40 because that was mine. That was my jacket. And I don't even think I had this listed for very long, but it was just shocking for so many reasons. 1, it's H&M. 2, it is like the middle of the summer. Why is this selling right now? Like this is a for real fall, like late fall winter jacket. It's small. Like, I don't know. I was just so shocked that this sold. Very thankful that it did. But that was a pretty good profit there, $22.40. And then also on the 8th on eBay, I sold this pair of cut from the cloth Diana skinny mid-rise jeans in a women's size 4. Those I got from a reseller buyout that I did right before COVID, I want to say. I had $392 into it, and they sold for $12 because they were part of the 60% off sale. So my net profit was $6.49. And I don't know about you, like I do not really have very good luck with cut from the cloth. It is not a brand that I pick up anymore very often because it just either takes forever to sell or doesn't sell for very much, or both. Like both of those things happen, and neither of those things are exciting or wonderful things have happened to you. So yeah, not about that cut from the cloth life anymore. Also on the 8th on eBay, I sold this Jasmine. I think this is like a Korean brand. It was this blue puffed sleeve, pearl accent 3/4 sleeve top in a women's size small. This item sold for $2.80 thanks to the 60% off sale. I probably didn't need to list this, but I did. It was something that a friend of mine gave me, and I made a net profit of $1.03. So Arizona iced tea. But not even, because if those things are 99 cents and I have to pay for tax, 103 is not going to cut it. Let me tell you where it would cut it though. If I had $1.03 of American money, I could get so much in Japan with that. If you've been to Japan, you know that they have a really strong vending machine culture, and you could get like the best drinks for like 160 or 140 yen, and that would come out to like less than an American dollar. It was amazing. So I guess I would just take that $1.03 of American money to Japan and have myself a wonderful time. But moving on to my next sale, I sold this pair of Miss Me boyfriend capri low-rise jeans in a women's size 27. They did have those back flat pockets. They had some stretch to them. Listen, I lost money on this sale because I got these in April of 2022 at a pop-up consignment sale. Now, I'm saying I had $9 into these, and I think that was my average cost of goods for that particular day. That's what I'm hoping anyway, because I don't know why on earth I would have spent $9 on this pair of jeans. But they sold for $10 on eBay as a result of my 60% off sale, and so I lost 67 cents on that sale. I don't have luck with Miss Me or Silver or those kinds of brands anymore. I did actually just pick up a pair of Rock Revival jeans at a fill a bag sale at my Plato's Closet. But when I got it home, I realized that the reason why it was still at the store and part of the fill a bag sale is because there's a huge rip in the butt. So they're just in a donate pile. There's no point in even trying to sell those. I haven't tried to sell Rock Revival in a while, so I don't know if those can still make any money. But Miss Me, Silver, Buckle, I'm not doing those brands anymore. Like it's not worth it. It's not worth how long I have to sit on them. And then, you just lose money. Lost 67 cents. So, rah, rah, rah. And then on eBay, I also sold this Chico's denim jacket with a velvet patch on the back. It was like a trucker jean jacket with pockets. It was in a women's size 4 to 6. I got that as part of a reseller buyout. I had $392 into it, and it sold for $11.20. Oh, okay. Sorry. I had notes on my spreadsheet about this being a bundle sale. That's because this item and the next item, they both sold to the same person. I'm 99% sure that this person is not a viewer, so I didn't even write their name down. But I did the same thing where, she was asking about discounts and all this stuff, even though she got some stuff for real cheap. But I told her that I would see how much it cost to actually ship her these items, and then I would send her the difference. So this item sold for $11.20. I had $392 into it. My net profit on that particular piece was $9.21. And then the last sale that we'll talk about was the second piece in this bundle on eBay. And it was this Michael Kors Sangria Coral Cold Shoulder Dress in a women's size medium. I did put the word resort in the listing title because at the time that I got this, which I don't remember when I got this, but it was a long time ago, this was the kind of thing that you might wear at a resort or while on vacation or something like that. And because I don't remember where this came from, I'm saying I had $3 into it as a result of shipping being a lot cheaper. So I'm saying that I sold this for $1.62, and that's because the refund came off of this particular item. And so my net profit for this item was 71 cents. And that was the last sale of the week. So as you can see, we had some winners. this week, a lot of that Eileen Fisher stuff did really well for me. Lafayette 148 piece did really well. And we had some losers. We had some pieces that lost me money. We had things giving me like $1 or $2 of profit. But honestly, it was a really great week in that I was able to move some of my newer listings for really quick and for good money. And I was also just getting rid of some of these older listings. And you guys know me. If you've been watching me for a while, if I've already taken the time to photograph something and to list something and get that item cross-listed to a bunch of platforms, I am not going to pull that item from my bins and donate it or something like that, because I've already invested a lot of time and energy into that item. It's already living in my bins. I don't sit there and manually share my closet on Poshmark anymore. I have Posh VA do that. So it's not like I have to do any extra work to get those items to sell. It's not like I'm expending any energy, sharing that item or anything like that. So I just let items live in my basement for as long as they want to. And when they're ready to leave, when they feel, grown up enough to go out and live their life, then I bid them adieu and best wishes, and they go live with their new family. But until then, I let them stay here rent free and I don't care. It's fine. So let's talk about my numbers. On eBay, I sold a whopping 21 items, and that is largely due in part to that 60% off sale. And earlier in the week, I had like a 15% off sale. My gross sales on eBay was $601.35. I had $79.69 into those items. And so my net profit on eBay was $316.54. On Mercari, I sold one item for $38. I had $5 into it, so my net profit was $28.58. On Poshmark, I sold 13 items for a gross sales amount of $470. I had $126.02 into those items, and so my net profit on Poshmark was $249.98. And on Whatnot, I sold one item for $5. I didn't have any money into it, so my net profit was $3.97. So in total, I sold 36 items for a gross sales amount of $1,114.35. I had $210.71 into those items, and my net profit was $599.07. I was 93 cents short of making it a $600 week, but you know what? We'll take it. And just as a spoiler for the next What Sold video, I'm combining the 2 weeks that I was on vacation, and I had done all this work to schedule listings so that they would go live on eBay while I was on vacation, hoping that I would continue to make daily sales. I did not. Sales were still atrocious. And it was like a lot of headache and drama, actually, that I'll get into in the next video. Make sure that you're subscribed if you haven't subscribed already. But that's okay. All of that extra work and energy I put into getting my reselling business ready for when I was going to be on vacation paid off this week, and I will take that. So let's get into some more numbers. For the year thus far, I have made a net profit of $8,452.90. And from the estate sale, I've been sharing with you how much money I've been making from this estate sale that I went to at the beginning of May. This particular week of sales, I sold 11 estate sale items for a net profit of $318.79. So if you combine that with how much I've made from this estate sale already, I have made a net profit of $1,310.22. And I think I shared in a previous video, but I spent a total at that estate sale of $688 at that estate sale. And I've already made my money back. I've already doubled the amount that I spent at that estate sale. It's looking to be pretty good. And I still have so many items left to sell and even to list. I'm not even done listing all of those things yet. So it's been a very exciting summer reselling wise. Our trip was wonderful. It's just been great. Now, if only this vertigo would go away, because it is driving me crazy. But let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know how your summers are going. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.